Shawn Caldera is a dedicated esports innovator with a focus on education, accessibility, and diversity in the esports industry. He founded his first company, Volcanic Media, in 2018 when he was a student at the University of Northern British Columbia. Through Volcanic, he worked with school districts and educators to create various esports initiatives. Recently, Shawn successfully sold Volcanic to a longtime partner and friend, the Gaming Stadium. The Gaming Stadium is a first-of-its-kind esports stadium in Canada located in Richmond, BC. His focus now is on increasing esports accessibility in rural and Indigenous communities. Welcome, Shawn!
Okay. I think, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Hi, my name is Shawn Caldera. I am a person within the esports ecosystem. So I don't know how many of you guys know what esports is, but I'm assuming quite a bit because you are young individuals who play video games. And so I've started my journey years ago in northern BC. And with the help of a ton of amazing people, I was able to get to where I am now. And so today I'm going to be talking about how I built a community and how I built a network of friends and amazing mentors, and kind of how that helped me piece together what I needed to navigate through. I never knew what I'd end up doing, and so it's kind of cool to go back and connect the dots. So there we go. I'm here to talk about how I built multiple dream jobs, how I built my company, and kind of the journey it took to get there. But like everyone, I started as a kid. Yes, you evolve, you grow, you're born into this world, and you kind of don't know what you need to do or what you want to do. And quite frankly, I don't think anyone else really has that figured out. You kind of piece it day by day. I was born and raised in the Lower Mainland in Richmond. Huge band nerd. You see, I'm like, I think that's like some Socials 10 or something like that. I'm wearing an Iron Man shirt. Huge Marvel nerd. I was involved with everything. You know, I was this weird mix, right? I'd want to play video games all day, but I'd also, be involved with student council and environmental club, all that jazz. And it was funny because I never knew where Prince George was. I never even knew it really was a thing or a city or existed, or any of the North. My furthest idea of the North was probably Kelowna, as a lot of young Lower Mainlanders, probably that's their understanding of BC. Everything revolves around Vancouver. But then UNBC came to my high school and kind of talked about, this wonderful place with a ton of trees and a ton of snow and things that Vancouver has a little bit of here and there, but it was amazing to see that there was a lot of opportunity through there. And I graduated in 2012, and I went up to UNBC. In university, I still played video games every day. Nothing really changed. And there's a picture of me and one of my good friends. We're at the Thirsty Moose, which is an amazing establishment up at the university. And once things are open up, and if you're attending UNBC, I highly encourage you visit it. And there's a picture I took with my wide-angle lens there. I was like a UNBC fanboy. Still am. It's because that's where I started my career, my journey into esports. Because I went there for biomedical studies. But what happened was I ended up getting really sick. And so you go to university, you have this plan, you have this idea, and you kind of build this community, this network, and all of a sudden life wants to throw a wrench in your plans. And that's going to happen no matter what stage you're at. I mean, I'm 26 right now. There's a whole lot of living I need to do still. But I think everyone who has lived and has experience can attest to the fact that life is unpredictable. And life was very unpredictable. In 2014, that's when I really got sick, and I couldn't do my labs. I couldn't be doing an organic chemistry lab for hours on end. I'd have to go to the bathroom because it was a gut tumor, but no one knew, right? And the medical system, because I was so far away from my family doctor and because I was a relatively healthy young guy, There was a lot of issues in terms of figuring out what was wrong. What started happening was my mental health started going into a really bad place. My physical health was not doing well, and I ended up slipping a little bit in my academics. So I was already, my first year of university, I think I partied a little too much, and so I was on academic probation. I think a lot of people end up on that. It's where your GPA is not the best. And then my plan was, okay, come back here, like let's get back into this. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case, right? And so, had a good meeting with the people at UNBC, like deans and stuff, and they realized my health is my priority, and they kind of really pushed for me to take a break, and I kind of had to do that. But I had a ton of student jobs too, and a big part of that, me being no longer pursuing stuff at the post-secondary level, I had to really think fast on how I could make money. And so I was involved with the student undergraduate society there called NUGS. And I was like, man, like I want my last event if this is my last event before I go elsewhere, I want it to be video game based. I want it to be something that no one's ever done before up north. And so we did a Smash Bros event. Called March the 14th, which was an insane thing to organize, but we had like 60 people show up, 50 people. And it was like a charity event, and it was fantastic. And that's kind of where we started I began organizing a lot of tournaments following that to keep that hype going, because people were just asking for it. And so it was this weird merging of a community I'd already built at UNBC at university, and then having this new community I was cultivating. And that's when I met amazing people like that's when I was introduced to people like Shauna at the Hub Space, Matt Sagar, so many people that I had never talked to really, all were introduced into my life because I was taking this road of building something new, and I was connected to more people who were building so many more new things. So my tumor was removed. I had to wait like a month and a half to figure out it wasn't cancerous, which is always fun. That's a fun waiting list, loading time. And it gave me a new lease on life. I realized that at a young age, like, wow, like that could have not gone well. It caused a lot of pain, and at least it's gone. Might as well do something I really, really want to do in life, and take a step back from everything else and see how far this goes. And building this community brought me joy. So I grew this local community, and I began to grow with a lot more local businesses out of the incubator I was operating out of called Hubspace. As the community grew, however, life threw another wrench because of the gaming industry and because of small communities, and being a person of color in those northern communities. Sometimes things can go a little toxic. So I know if any of you people play video games online, you've probably heard some pretty nasty things being said about different groups of people. And unfortunately, some of them louder voices in the gaming community I had built, even though I had been leading it and all that, grew more toxic, and it left the community divided. That same year, had a couple of personal losses, and it made me reevaluate if this was something I wanted to continue doing. I had fun organizing tournaments and fun growing everything, but I wanted it to maybe go back to school. So I decided to put a line in the sand for Volcanic. And I just ended up not pursuing that for about a few months. And so that's a picture of actually that summer I decided to kind of leave things behind. That was me biking through the flooded Cottonwood Park in Prince George. I'm always wanting to do things that challenge me and could be seen as a little insane or weird. And I was one of them. That bike never fully recovered from that flood. The frame is completely shot, but it was a great memory. But I digress. What happened was I went back to school, and I realized very quickly that school was not cutting it for me. I would be in a lab, I would be in a class, and I would just be thinking about esports. And not just playing video games. I was actually playing video games a lot less. I would rather organize people. I would rather grow communities. I'd rather bring people together, and make a career that way. And so that's a shot of me and a couple of buds. We went up to one of the highest points in Prince George, the foothills, and we were taking city shots. And that night in particular, we were talking about what we want to do with the rest of our life. And I decided I didn't want to go back to academics just yet. I felt I had unfinished business with my business, but I still wanted to keep the communities of both worlds. And I wanted to bring scholastic and collegiate together with esports. And that's exactly what we did. I built a team of strong, independent, and spunky young people, a team of 8 to 10 individuals as a core team. We're all volunteering our time. We call it a business, but the thing is, when you start up, you're lucky if you're making really anything, especially in esports at that time. That was before esports was this big, booming, snazzy thing. And so we started focusing events on youth. And so there's 3 pictures there. One of the pictures is one of my friends, Hunter. We were contracted to do an event in Fort St. James outdoors. So we ran an outdoor esports event under a wooden structure with wireless internet, like satellite internet. But we did it. The middle picture is with our minister or previous Minister of Business and Development, Bruce Ralston. I was introducing him to esports, and that's us at the hub space. We were able to show what small innovations can make big impact in communities. And that final picture was like probably our best moment of being a young startup was at BC Tech Summit. We were able to show off a prototype of a community platform we were building. We ran a high school tournament there. It was like for all the youth that were involved. And we had great meetings with partners like Lenovo and Microsoft. It was that really big inflection point. To wrap it all off, for that first part of Volcanic's history, we ended up building a network of high school esports athletes, and we gave the first high school esports scholarship in the country. This event in particular was held at UNBC in the Charles Jago Sports Center, or the Northern Sports Center, and we had at least, I think, 5 to 6 different school districts show up and participate. After that, though, I realized that I needed to do more to grow my dream and grow the idea of the North planting something amazing and building into the world. I think there's quite a trend of most of the innovations can only be found in the Lower Mainland in BC, and that's not the case. I think amazing ideas can come from anywhere. And I think that given today where we've seen entrepreneurs and these amazing people who have come from the North, or other parts of the province or other parts of the country, but may not be these mainstream cities. I realized that there was a few ways we could build that bridge between the North and the South. And one of those opportunities was I was given the chance to build Canada's first federally funded esports research in the country. And out of all the applicants, I was chosen. And I was kind of blown away that they'd pick a guy from Prince George. And that's the thing. Prince George is a home for me. But I ended up being chosen for that, and I spent a year networking within the Lower Mainland and connecting my network I'd built up north and bringing those two worlds together. And funnily enough, that led me to my next dream, which was the gaming stadium. So all the work I'd done to connect the North and the South, and with all my partners I'd built and sponsors and the good people, my mentors, everyone was talking to each other. And when people talk to each other, it's going to be either a mix of good, bad, or something in between. And luckily, I'd built really good relationships where these relationships were so meaningful that people were just positive about my company and myself and the people who I worked with. And so all the work I'd done with the government and the work I'd done in the North kind of combined, and then the gaming stadium approached me and they wanted to buy Volcanic. They wanted to buy my company, and with the big value to them was not only the network of schools we'd built, but the network of partners we'd built. And that community had so much value that's what drove the acquisition of my company. And so this is just a little part of it, but the funny thing is I have a personal relationship with each of these brands, and it's not just, hey, can you give me money and we'll call it a day. It's more so it's a friendship with people to people, and I think relationships are worth their weight in gold. And that's a big thing, is that each of these companies had a key part to play in my growth, and there's so many more that's not listed there, but they're also my support net. These are people who, when I've gone through hard times or tough times, I've been able to rely on them and talk to them. And it goes beyond a business relationship. And I think that's the most important thing, is that when Volcanic was bought, the gaming stadium was able to see that. And what's funny is when I was acquired, my company was acquired by the stadium, they also gave me a full-time job. So I'm now being paid full-time to take care of growing not only Scholastic Esports, but growing communities and within the gaming stadium's umbrella. And that's sort of my journey. It's that I was able to start in university and have this group of small, people, 15 people coming to a table playing video games. And I've grown into a province-wide initiative, which now we're starting to talk to countries like Mexico, England, countries in Southeast Asia about growing our high school esports program into those countries now while we expand within Canada. And it could not have been done without the support of my amazing community that I had a part in building, and that the community that supported me through everything. So that's my story in a nutshell. I wanted to keep that kind of there, and now we can answer any questions you guys may have.